All right, so we're going to kick today off with a game. This first game is worth 5 points. So there's going to be a really awesome prize at the end. I'll be keeping score as we go along. So this first game is real or fake, and it's going to be worth 5 points. What we have here is 3 headlines, 2 of which are real, and 1 of which is fake. The job for you all is to guess which one is fake. So headline number 1, matchmaking, a new Alexa skill. Amazon launches dating app based on shopping and Prime preferences. Headline number 2, guy constructs a gun that shoots masks onto people's faces. And headline number 3, this case gives your phone robotic legs so that it can crawl to a wireless charging pad. So when you're ready, just give me fists up and we'll do rock, paper, scissors. And then on shoot, just shoot 1, 2, or 3 corresponding to whichever one you think is fake. So rock, paper, scissors, shoot. We got 1, 1, 1. Oh wow, you guys are all right. Number 1 was
Nice.
the fake one. So 5 points for everyone. Well done. It's rare that we get everyone unilaterally correct. So seems like there's going to be a competitive field this episode. Awesome.
That one was too feasible.
Right?
Cool. So we've got 3 lovely guests on today who will each have go around and give a short 280 character intro of themselves. And we also have Yael, who's going to be live cartooning with us, and you can find her on Instagram at YaelIsms. Jeff, you want to start and give us your short intro?
Sure, yeah. So I'm Jeff. I'm the founder and CPO of Viable Fit. And I've been in product for years and years and years and years. Done stints at Yammer, Zenefits, and Ease before this.
Great. Lauren?
Cool. Nice to meet you, Jeff. I'm Lauren Tracy, and I am the head of product and co-founder at a startup called Blue Fever. And before this, I was in media and film, so I found my way to product in kind of a roundabout way. But Blue Fever is essentially a company that built an empathetic AI that guides teenagers to emotional experiences that validate them and provides them wisdom on a day-to-day. And our first product is text message, where users can message with Blue, this AI, and our next product is an app.
Fun. TX?
Hi everyone, I'm TX. I'm a co-founder and partner at Fika Ventures. We're an early stage venture capital fund based in Los Angeles. Prior to Fika, I was an entrepreneur myself. Started an online business. We were selling college textbooks of all things. We sold the company in 2006. So been a VC now for about 10 years.
Awesome. Great. All the headlines that we're going to go over today come from a newsletter that I work on called This Week in Creative Tech. Anyone watching today can sign up at bit.ly/join Future Fridays. So we'll kick today off with headline number 1. This one is Transplant, a visualization of where people are moving. So what this headline is about a new tool called Transplant that allows you to browse and visualize a map of over 4,000 data points on where people are moving to. So question to you all. I mean, there's been a lot of talk on Twitter about SF and NYC being dead. I've personally seen a lot of friends move away from both. I moved away from NYC myself. I'm in Denver right now. How much of this movement do you all think is permanent? And what are the second order effects that you think that we'll see?
I don't know if we know how much of it is going to be permanent, but I think a lot of people would like to take advantage if they can now. My husband and I are considering moving to an island right now that does not have COVID. So, we're lucky enough that we can do that. But then a friend of ours yesterday said, because you told me you were doing it, it made me think that I could do it. And now we're moving to an island too, like 2 days later. But I think long term, it really depends if work goes back to the way that it was before, or if we see something different. I think that's going to be the biggest indicator, in my opinion.
Which island are you going to move to? Can you share, or is it a secret?
It's between right now 3 islands. We're looking at Barbados, Cayman Islands, and Bermuda, 2 of which have like a remote working visa opportunity, which is brand new because of COVID. And the other one might be a work opportunity.
That's awesome.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like a lot of it is going to be. I feel like COVID has really just accelerated something that was already happening. I feel like with
Agreed.
the remote tools that are out, people are realizing that being kind of like all co-located together in one spot isn't necessary, really. And there are certain benefits that you get from leaving, and then there's certain benefits that you give from, or that you lose from leaving as well, right? So, I mean, it really depends on, I think, the stage in your life. I think a lot of like my peers, like I just had a kid, and that's why I moved away from San Francisco, right? It's just not as good of a place to raise a family necessarily. But I think COVID is just accelerating a lot of that stuff already.
Yeah, I think for me, the whole point of a tech company, it should be easy and sort of affordable to start a company, but that has changed a lot over the last sort of 3 to 5 years. It's crazy expensive now to live in San Francisco. So I think what I'm looking forward to is sort of more talent spread around the country where the cost of living and cost of operations are a lot lower. So hopefully that will lead to more innovation that's more affordable to come up and start a company right now. So that's something I'm looking forward to.
Awesome. Well, I'll stay tuned to see all of the new wonderful non-Bay Area companies that are being launched. Headline number 2 of the day is swallow a small device and it'll scrape your gut bacteria for signs of trouble. This one's super interesting. This is about a new edible device that could supplement colonoscopies. The small device basically samples gut bacteria as it makes its way down. Right now with colonoscopies, I don't know why I'm stumbling on that word. Doctors can see trouble spots, but the challenge is in still understanding what it is. So with this, the pill can actually take little samples on its way down and be able to do a better job of helping doctors identify what's going on. So putting it out to all of you, I mean, we've seen a lot of widespread adoption of wearable fitness, sleep trackers, all kinds of things around the quantified self movement. I mean, Lauren, you're in the broad health space. I'm sure you've got some interest in this. Do you all think that this technology is actually inspiring us to look after our health, or is it sort of, I don't know, an excuse to be lazier about it in a weird way?
Liz, I think you might have swallowed one of those. That's why you're struggling with words today.
stuck in my throat.
Yeah, but I mean, in all seriousness, when my wife was pregnant, actually last year, we used an app together called Glow that tracked the whole pregnancy through everything, and it really took a whole lot of the stress of the experience off of us because it really allowed you to kind of benchmark yourself against your peers at the same kind of like time, and I think that sort of thing, throughout a bunch of different health applications is really kind of nice. Because it's been such a mystery in the past. And I think kind of both measuring and then also sharing baselines for things has really helped, kind of make what normal is more clear.
Yeah. I think the only thing I struggled, sorry, go ahead, Lauren.
Oh, sorry, probably my delay over here. Thank you. I think the quantifiable nature of all of these wearables is getting a little tiresome. It kind of reminds me of everything else that we're doing on social media and other platforms. We're like keeping track of followers and everything's quantified in these like different areas of our lives. And I think that that's starting to create less motivation and more of a feeling of being overwhelmed. At least we see that with teenagers in our demographic. And so I think if we can figure out how to make wearables harness community brand messaging in a more inspirational way, not gamification, but build in game design into these kinds of things, pairing it with software, I think that might be more inspiring. I mean, if we see, if we do research on who are the people who are living the longest and are quote unquote the healthiest from like a holistic perspective, it has nothing to do with like tracking your steps and keeping track of your diet. It's like you have a healthy balance of community and you do a little exercise every day and there's like stimulus to your brain and like all of these social things, right? So I think if we can figure out how to use technology to do that stuff in a better way, it would be more motivational than it is now.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it forces us to a certain stereotype and live our lives a certain way, which is too prescriptive at times. I think the other thing that bugs me about wearables is that it serves as a monitoring device, but there's not a lot of interaction between you and the device. So it tells you at the end of the day, hey, you only walk 5,000 steps, not 10,000. But I wish they would tell you in the middle of the day, like, hey, we'll walk another 1,000 steps. Or hey, if you're in the middle of a workout, hey, you need to push yourself a bit harder. Or stop eating these bag of chips, right? Like you should just stop eating them right now. So I think this interaction is going to be the next evolution for wearables.
Yeah, I mean, the Apple Watch is already starting to do some of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'm excited for a Fitbit that yells at me to put down the cookies.
Right?
All right, we'll
Yeah.
move on to our first cartoon of the day. Cartoonist, you want to show us what you have?
Here we have Not Dead, Just Napping. It's New York City. Got the Statue of Liberty napping. And then you've got this other one with the Statue of Liberty. And got the rats. And lastly, you got the coronaviruses.
This is pretty good.
That's fantastic.
That's
I
great.
think it's the best
That's
cartoon
the
you've ever done.
when it becomes it.
It's so funny. Wow. Right. Awesome. We'll move on to headline number 3. Fortnite uses Apple's own 1984 ad against it in a dispute over payments. So this one is about Epic Games, the video game developer Fortnite. They just posted a video, really good watch, criticizing Apple for moving their game from the App Store. The video uses imagery from Apple's iconic 1984 ad and positions Apple as a soulless corporate entity. I've seen this explode on Twitter lately. Lots of big companies like Basecamp, WordPress, and now Epic pushing back on Apple's App Store policies very publicly. Is Apple's 30% cut onerous? How do you all see this playing out over the long term?
I don't think so for an early stage company. I mean, arguably Apple provided both the hardware and the platform for distribution. So like, I think without those in the first place, like we wouldn't be talking about this problem. But I think the trouble is once you get to a certain scale, then that 30% tax gets pretty onerous on companies or prohibitive to scale your business. So I think there's either one or two evolutions of this. Either one, Apple needs to come out with a proper tiered pricing program where sort of at scale that 30% goes down significantly, or they have to show sort of real sort of returns for these developers by being on the Apple platform. How much more revenue does this get you? And then that could justify sort of the commission or the split they're getting. So I think one or two things that need to happen. If not, I think we'll get into this long-term debate over whether this 30% is going to be sustainable.
Do they have a tiered pricing model now, or is that old and they got rid of it? I'm newer to the app space, so it's only something I've read about, but I haven't experienced myself yet. That as you scale, does the price go down?
No, it's 30% on everyone.
No.
Oh, wow. Okay. I read something, it must have been a really old article or I don't know what it was, that said that Google and Apple both went down over time, or maybe that's a new proposal. I'm not sure. I didn't look at the date. But yeah, I mean, I think, you know, the Fortnite ad, I don't know what we call this viral video they're going for here, is interesting. I mean, somebody pointed out, I think in the article, like Fortnite is a corporate entity in and of themselves here, so it's a little ironic in that way. Yeah. And the whole like hashtag free Fortnite at the end, if they had maybe taken the angle of like free developers or something, not that it's all about them, that they're asking for special treatment, but that it seems like there's buzz in general around people being kind of like, okay, Google and Apple, like let's like listen to everybody because we don't have many options. It's like Android and iOS pretty much. And so you guys are just like locked together on this. And if everyone's going to complain, I think at some point I think the market will start to speak for itself, and somehow some pressure will happen. But I think that they, I don't know, could have done this a little bit better to get more people on their side instead of being like, we deserve to have this cut.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was going to bring up a tiered system as well, because I mean, 30%, like you have $1 billion business, 30%, that's insane. You know? I mean, it is getting pretty close to a monopoly, right? Like you can't really launch something not on iOS. You can't do that. It just doesn't work, right? So, you know, it is kind of a mandatory thing that you have to do. And then to smack 30% on top of that, that's kind of a slap in the face. But at the same time, like Apple provides a ton of value too. So it's like kind of both sides in this one, which I hate.
I guess we'll see how it plays out. Awesome. Headline number 4 for today is Digitizing Burning Man. So this headline is about a group of technologists that are coming together with backgrounds in VR, blockchain, hypnotism, immersive theater, etc. And they're going to be creating a web of hacked together social products that they hope will capture the atmosphere of the physical event. So putting it out to all of you, I mean, Burning Man's audience has grown larger and larger over the years, but a lot of people that I've spoken to have said that it's lost some of its early magic, because things do when they scale. It looks like we're going to see at least 2 years of no live in-person event. Will these long lapses give new life to these kind of events like Burning Man? Or do you think that we'll just see totally new things emerge in their place? Like maybe it just won't be cool 2 years from now anymore, and there'll be some new thing. Like what do you all think about this?
So I think absence makes the heart grow fonder. So I think after 2 years, the first Burning Man that comes back, it's going to be huge, honestly. I think in the meantime, those digital experiences that they're building are going to be interesting to see, but I think it's going to be like Burning Man light, right? Like you're not going to be totally immersed in the experience. And I think that's what people are going to be missing, right? And I think it's really hard to be truly immersed without actually living and breathing something for a long period of time, which is really, really hard to do digitally. So I don't think they're going anywhere. I think these in-person experiences are, you know, they're part of being human.
I'm hoping that it kind of introduces us on more of a mass scale, because a lot of people might be checking this out. People who have wanted to go to Burning Man but never have for various reasons. So I think it'll expose people to interesting creative technologies that are being kind of like quickly created or capitalized on, that they're already created and they're being like maneuvered in a new way. Like I really like this party on the moon idea that somebody had in that article, where they're basically allowing people to explore the moon's surface together communally somehow, I think is what it was. Probably, I would imagine, I don't know if it's solely in VR, but I think that's really interesting. I think it kind of opens up avenues for learning about, like I can see that then being turned into like a school, you know, teaching course because Burning Man existed. I think that type of thing might happen, and it's cool. I totally agree with I mean, it's kind of been proven a bunch of times, but totally agree with the absence makes the heart grow fonder, and what we want we don't have for a while, then we really appreciate. And, you know, maybe we'll be forced to have more Burning Mans in different locations now because more people want to have them.
Totally.
I'm calling dibs on the next Fire Festival once this is over. So we're going to host the next Fire Festival.
I'm going to send a link to this virtual Burning Man to my mom.
I love that.
You going to send her a blunt too?
Yeah. And I'll ask her to record a video and we'll include it in the next show.
Perfect.
Cool. This is game number 2 of today. This is worth 10 points. This is multiple choice. So what we have here is a headline with a missing blank. The job for you all is to guess which one corrects the sentence. I'm just going to have you write it down, and then when we're ready, we'll show our answers to the screen. So this one is, this app turns your animal blank into detailed AR animals. Is it stuffies, doodles, or photos? When you're ready, just give me a thumbs up or just show it to the screen. Photos. And Lauren, you had B, doodles. Doodles is the correct answer.
Oh no.
10 points for Lauren. Lauren takes the lead with a total of 15 points. So yeah, this headline is this app turns animal doodles into detailed AR animals. This is an app by Google, I believe, the Doodler app. And it allows you to draw. They recently released a similar app where you could like draw some rough sketch of something and it would make a more beautiful sketch of it. This is the same idea, except you can draw a rough sketch of whatever and then show an AR app you're drawing, and it'll create a really cool AR representation of that. So like this, you know, not very cool actually, 3D model of a pig from that sketch of the pig.
Nice. When can I have this for interface design?
Right?
Oh yeah.
All right. Headline number 5 of the day, down to the last 2. A wonderful interactive map featuring photos of buildings in New York. So this headline's about an artist named Julian Boylan, a proud New Yorker, who put together an interactive map that displays photographs of every building within the 5 boroughs of New York between 1939 and 1941. I guess there was actually a Greater New York department that was responsible for going around and documenting the progress of the city. I looked at my old apartment in Williamsburg. It was really cool to see. The shell is very similar. Let me ask you all, I mean, while we see a ton of technology focusing on innovating on the future, are we forgetting about preserving and learning from our past? What other cool examples have you all seen of tools like this that help bring life back to our past?
Yeah, so go ahead, Lauren.
Sorry, thanks. Wikipedia is really just the first thing that came to my mind, and I feel like I'm flashing forward into the future and then looking at us as the past for a second here. But I think that there's going to be really cool opportunity to do like, what's the future of Wikipedia if we're documenting like humanity, right? Before we had books and anything that was on the printing press and whatever else, and now we have computers, and how are we going to organize that information? Who's going to organize that information? And how much of it is going to be text versus visual versus something I don't even know what yet, right? And I think that Wikipedia has like been a big one in my life for learning and forwarding my own learning. I'm probably going to bring this up later when we talk about smaller stuff too, actually. And I don't know what it looks like, but I am really excited to see how we figure out how to map humanity like back over time through all the data online.
That's actually a pretty decent segue into kind of what I was thinking. And you know, if you look at genetics is basically the study of history in a lot of ways. And so, you know, using things like 23andMe, you know, you really explore the history of your little slice of humanity. And I think those sort of things are really, you know, yeah, they're on the forefront of the future, but they're describing the past.
I think the thing that's interesting for me, I was reading this article about a high school class that was using VR to actually recreate sort of moments in time in the past. So you could actually jump into sort of maybe World War II or something and just relive that experience. Maybe that's not the experience you want to relive, but I think it in general, it's like it allows you to immerse yourself in sort of history. So I think these experiences allow you to sort of get a real understanding of actually what happened in the past. I think that's a pretty cool application.
Nice.
What was that? Did you say there was an app that exists?
Yeah, I think they were using just Oculus VR, and there was I'll try to find the article and send it to you guys. There's like a history high school class that was using it to sort of recreate sort of these moments in time, and then you could actually go through them as students. I thought that was pretty cool.
I'd love to check that out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, last headline of the day. Google Lens announces new homework filter, which solves math problems with photos. So this article is about a new tool that Google released that's part of the Google Lens that allows users to snap a pic of their study material, highlight a troublesome equation or complex problem, and access step-by-step guides with meticulous explainers. You know, obviously we're all working from home now. People have kids who are trying to do school from home. Do you think this technology is making us lazy learners, or would we try harder to grasp a concept or an answer if we didn't have Google on demand? Like, it's kind of like, I remember my math teachers being like, why don't you spend 10 more minutes on this and then ask me for help? Does this make it too easy to skip that part and just go straight to the answer?
You know, I don't think so. I mean, I'm going to actually pull something kind of from my past here. So growing up in high school, in my geometry class, we really started, that's when I actually started programming, is with a TI-83 calculator. How I aced that class basically was writing all of the formulas into the TI-83 calculator. So all I had to do was input the inputs, and then boom, I'd answer all my homework and all my tests, right? But what that taught me was how to program, right? Which really is why you learn math in the first place these days, for the most part. I mean, obviously engineering applications, that thing too. But I think that you know, learning formulas and that kind of thing, which is really what these sort of tools really help with, isn't the point. Learning how to think is the point, right? And I think these tools help teach us how to think. And so I think it's actually better, not worse.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I have like a weird issue with the word lazy that I probably shouldn't go into now. I don't think human laziness really exists. I think it's more about like, what energy do you have at this given moment to do something, and like, how does your brain work, I think. But I couldn't agree more. As the person in math class who wasn't great at math, but who later figured out that like my thing is solving problems. That's what I love to do, but I never pursued engineering because I wasn't good at math. And if I could, you know, like Wikipedia augments my knowledge, if I could augment my ability to do the math part of the problems, I wonder if I would have, I probably wouldn't have ended up being an engineer strictly, but I probably would have learned coding sooner and been more comfortable with that. And I think that the next generations are going to experience these. I mean, we augment everything in our lives. We augment so many things. Like, why not this? I don't see a problem with it. I think it's beneficial.
Yeah, and Wiz, to your point about your teacher telling you to like spend 10 more minutes on this problem, I think when we were all growing up, like we weren't taught the way to learn stuff. I think some things we just learned by like, okay, I think we'll pattern match, and I think this is the way we get to an answer. So I think if there's an app that helps you sort of structure the learning process and think about it the right way, I think that's more valuable. So like, I don't see this as making us lazy. I think this is more helping us become more efficient with the way we learn.
That's a good perspective.
Plus, I mean, the smartest people I know are lazy, right? That's why you become smart. So you don't have to work hard.
Perfect.
All right, we're gonna end today on another round of cartoons and then one final game to find out our winner for today. Cartoonist?
Can we reset the points though? So we'll all start at 0.
All right. Yeah. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
So these are about that traveling back in time.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Next one is what you said about going back and living what people lived. This reminded me of that grandpa that reminds you about how he walks 5 miles to school.
Love it.
Oops. I mean to say do my 5 mile walk. And then here's a portrait of 1940.
Very poignant.
And lastly, I brought back the rats.
That's great.
This is like the grandpa rat.
Yeah. He's a little mustache.
Such a good mustache.
Yeah.
It's like 700 generations later.
Yep. True.
All right. Thank you for that. All right, final game of today. This one is worth 10 points, a chance for someone to tie with Lauren. So here we've got a partial headline with a blank. The job for you all is just to come up with something really funny. Anything silly or ridiculous. You'll have 60 seconds, so lots of time actually. Just write it down. When you're ready, give me a thumbs up. So bizarre Apple patent describes Blank. TX is coming up with something really good.
No, I'm struggling. That's why I scratched the first one.
TX, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Bizarre Apple patent describes. Jav, you want to go first?
Sure, yeah. Can you read that?
Stool tracking underwear.
Fruit of the loom.
I know that brand. Don't ask me how.
All right. Lauren, bizarre Apple patent describes. How to connect with Steve Jobs in the afterlife through a Microsoft tablet.
What? It just gets weirder.
These are the best ones that we've had so far.
I like those.
That was great. All
I'm
right,
not gonna win this one.
bizarre Apple patent describes how often you check your phone. Still funny, not as weird and wacky as Jeff and Lauren's. Lauren, I'm gonna have to give you the 10 points just because it was so crazy.
So out there.
I don't think I'm proud of myself, to be honest.
That's 10 points for you, which gives you a total of 25 and makes you the winner for today. Yay!
Congrats.
The real headline was actually bizarre Apple patent describes self-aware AirPods. So this is a patent that Apple filed that basically gives your AirPods more ability to adjust things like volume, but also the balance left to your right ear based on where you are and what you're doing, which is interesting.
That's actually cool.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks everyone for joining today. This is where you can find everyone online one more time. And again, all of the headlines came from This Week in Creative Technology, bit.ly/join Future Fridays. Thanks so much, everyone. This one was so fun. Great episode.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you all.